Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to speak at this webinar and to put this together. And I think it's a very interesting topic, especially from our side, as we are very involved in the literature monitoring, and we want to share a bit more what we've been doing and what we can do to support medical devices in terms of their literature searches. So just myself and a disclaimer and declaration of conflict of interest. There's nothing, I'm an employee of Biologit. So the synopsis of what we're going to talk about today is going back to navigating. I think everybody who is from the medical devices field are probably getting tired of listening to the EU MDR, the new European Union medical device regulation, and all the things that it brings and all the changes that it is bringing to companies. But we are going to talk a little bit about it, and especially on the literature monitoring side of things. So navigating the EU MDR requires a thorough understanding of the literature review process, and this is an informative webinar. We are also open for discussions. We want to hear from everybody if they have any doubts, if they have any advice as well, how they're doing things. I think it is a learning environment where a lot of people are kind of testing the waters and seeing if they're doing the right thing. Although there is guidance, but then there's also interpretation of the guidance. And we'll talk through key steps to optimize the literature review, ensuring compliance with the EU MDR requirements. The learning outcomes is to comprehend the role of literature review in compliance, acquire practical insights and best practices for optimizing the literature review process from data source selection to data integrity, and receive information on valuable resources to and further educational opportunities. So let's start from the beginning. Let's recap on what constitutes as a medical device. And I think everybody on this call probably know very well this, and depending on the audience, they might not be so familiar, but the medical devices include all of the health technologies, except for vaccines and medicines, and they are required for prevention, diagnosis, treatment, monitoring, rehabilitation, palliation, and they are indispensable for the universal health coverage, monitoring well-being, and addressing outbreaks or emergencies. And there are some types of medical devices here, which include a number of different types of devices. So it could be syringes, but it could be a pacemaker, it could be a very large machine, it could be tests, or even masks and gloves, for example, and surgical and laboratory instruments. So there are over 500,000 types of medical devices and IVD on the EU market. So here we are going to be looking more closely on the EU market and how the new regulation it's kind of evolves and how the literature happens. But there's a vast number of different types of medical devices available, and that is, I think, what gets complicated to find out exactly what type of device you have and where does that what is the needs of that device. So the regulation, we have the regulation on medical devices that became available in the EU on the 26th of May 2021. And it refers to a set of regulations established by the European Union to govern the marketing and distribution of medical devices within its member states. And then we have the in vitro diagnostics medical devices regulation that became available 1 year later on the 26th of May 2022. And that is specifically addresses in vitro diagnostic medical devices, which are devices used for diagnostic purposes through the examination of samples derived from human body, for example, blood, urine, and so on. So it's a complex, and those devices might be very different if you look at in vitro diagnostics and compared to a medical device that could be gloves, for example, or something like that. So there's a very large spectrum of differences between different products. So for medical devices, we need to do a clinical evaluation, and this is required for all medical devices according to MDR. And the main task of a clinical evaluation is to identify pertinent data in relation to your medical devices and other similar ones. And this will help you to prove the intended use of your device and the clinical claims that your device is safe, presents no risks, or the benefits outweigh the risks, and ideally the benefits outperform any existing devices that are already available in the market by comparing your device with other existing ones, if there is any available, and any studies from peer-reviewed publications, medical guidances, and reports. This is done through a systematic literature review, better formalizing an efficient process to avoid any potential pitfalls, including notified body and non-conformance. The manufacturer should define and justify the frequency at each of the clinical evaluation needs to be actively updated. So this is very important to make sure that the clinical evaluation is set at the very beginning and then is well understood and there's a plan in place. So there is literature requirements for the medical devices, and it is found on the revision 4 in the section 8.2. And I'm just going to read through what the requirements are and then what are the data that needs to be included. So clinical data clinical data relevant to the device and evaluation, which are data that relate either to the device and evaluation or to an equivalent device, if equivalence is claimed. Current knowledge, the state of art, which includes applicable standards and guidance documents, data that relate to benchmark devices, other devices, critical components, and medical alternatives, or to the specific medical conditions and patient populations intended to be managed with the device, and also the post-marketing surveillance data from the literature. And again, the appendices 4 and 5 and 6. These sections offer comprehensive guidance on conducting literature searches and reviews for clinical evaluation of medical devices and includes the general instructions for literature searches, detailing approaches to developing protocols for conducting literature reviews, clearly defining the essential components of literature reviews necessary for the creation of a compliant clinical evaluation report, and then also approaches for reviewing clinical data. And we had put it down here into all the stages for how most people, according to the guidance, would be performing their literature review. So first, we need to have a very clear definition of the device description. So the device or equivalent device information or the requirements from manufacturer, for example, so understanding where your device fits in. And then the second stage would be the literature protocol.
Or not any knowledge at all. I think that's very different. But they report.
Sorry, I thought it was a question. So we need to design a search string, and the search string, and we are going to talk a little bit more about the search strings, how you can design it. And the search string is one very important point in terms of how you are going to find what you're looking for, and then also select the sources or database. So the very first stage is very important to make sure that your search string is well defined and that you're not going to miss, that you're not either going to get too much noise or not get what you need because your definition, your search string doesn't have the right keywords, for example. And also select sources of databases where you're going to be looking for information. And generally, if companies are looking at different databases, they might choose a couple of databases that they want to look at to see if they can find enough information about the products. By doing that, the problem that we see with the two first steps with the design of search string and the selecting databases is that as you select a number of different databases, you might end up with a lot of duplication because you might have the same articles in different databases, and then you will have to, the first step would be to deduplicate. And the designing of the search string, if you use a very restrictive search string, you might not have access to all the articles talking about the product that you are interested. And then with that, you need to define inclusion and exclusion of categories, and we are going to talk a little bit more about that, the types of inclusion and exclusion depending on the types of papers that you find in the articles. And then the stage 2, we have the screening. So run a search string, rescreen abstracts, apply Pico and Prisma methods. So these are different their methodologies for literature reviews. And this is also important because all the steps obviously are important, but this will help you to find and to have a process that you can follow every time, that you're adhering to a process that is consistent throughout the searches that you might do. And then in stage 3 is your appraisal and analysis, and you will be grading different types of articles or reviews that you find. So for example, you want to look at non-biased studies, you want to look at the methodological quality, relevance, scientific validity, weighing, evaluation. So this is very important, and I think from reading that guidance, sometimes it can be difficult for you to make the full assessment and a decision on the non-biased study, because if you are a person doing the reviews, and it might be that there's a very good article on a very in a high index journal, for example, but at the end of it might be a study that has bias, but then how do you make that decision based on your knowledge on the product? But there's also needs to be a knowledge on publications and how on methodology of publication, so how you qualify something to be of good quality or bad quality or bias or non-bias and so on, because sometimes within the publication it will not clearly say to you that this has a bias or that we missed a population or our number wasn't big enough. So sometimes this information is not clearly available within the publication that you're reading, and it's a decision that the person that is doing the review has to make. And then the stage 4 is to review and write the report. So review full text articles, look at the benefit risk of the data that they are looking at, quantifiable safety data, and quantifiable performance data. So these are they are well established 4 stages that we need to look at. And I'm going to go to the next level where we're going to look at the more practical way of doing that. So the guidance defines what approaches are acceptable and categories, but you need to define each article. But similar to human medicines, you can decide to search and conduct that is relevant to your product, but you need to be able to have knowledge to be able to do that. So the first step, again, we are putting our platform, and we are going to show a little bit about our platform and how we do the searches using our technology. But we are going to talk a little bit more about steps 0 to 1 on how to do that. So I suppose the same thing happens for human medicines, is you really need to know your product. You need to know inside out what your label says, what the manufacturer's information, and if you have been involved from development to market, that is even better, because then your knowledge about the product and the step-by-step that the product went through to get approval and so on will be very helpful, that you have a very good understanding of what your product does. And then also with that, you would have a good understanding of what are the other products in the market that could be similar to your product. And then identify again any inclusion and exclusion, and you might also want to consider checking the references for any similar medical device in the market. And if you use our platform, for example, the benefits of using technology that has been developed for literature searches is that within our database, you have all of the different databases into one place. So you don't have to go and do the searches in one database and then do the same search in another one, or the same search might not work in different databases. For example, if you're using PubMed and you're using Mesh, and then that search string might not be the same that you use for Cochrane, for example, the same search string that you will use for any other database. So within Biologic MLM AI platform, the nice thing about it is that it's a unified database where it has the information from a number of databases all in one place. So you only do one search and you retrieve data from at least, I think we have maybe 6 at the moment that we can look at the same time, 6 databases. So the other thing that we do within Biologic MLM AI platform is that you can use the option to use synonyms instead of using very restrictive search strings. You can also use one word that is defining your product, and you're also expanding that product to use any of the synonyms to the product. So it would actually starting by expanding your search instead of kind of making your search smaller, but it will expand your search. But with the use of the screening technology that we have, it will then minimize the amount of articles that you have to review afterwards. So you can test that. So you will do a test search by running the search and using the words that you have defined, either by using our own methodology, which is expanding the terms into all the terms that fall into that category, or by using your own defined search string. That is also possible. And then once that is done, you will then fine tune and make sure that you are getting what you need and you're not missing anything, and that if you're not getting a lot of noise as part of the results that you're getting. And the important thing is that you will make sure that you have a good understanding of what is the terms that you have included and excluded, and you have full visibility of that, because that the platform will have that information as part of the quality documentation that goes with it. So if you choose to use a search strategy that is excluding any terms, that will be fully documented. And if you choose to use additional terms, that is also going to be fully described in the audit trail. And that's important for if you ever want to repeat, or as you repeat your same search, you're able to repeat exactly the same search again and again, and you don't need to redefine what your search strategy is. And stage 2 is to be able to search multiple databases. It is important that we're looking at more than one database. And then within Biologic MLM AI platform, it also includes integrated databases all in one place. And that is because we are aggregating data from open source, open access databases. And once we do that, we normalize the data and we make this data available for companies to either use our own platform or to mine the data with their own technology on top of our platform. And at the moment, our database has a number of databases that are included, which is the likes of PubMed, Crossref, DOAJ, Lilacs, IBEX, but there are many more that we are looking into and that we also have the possibility to integrate and ingest. So if there's additional data that is important for your type of product, let's say, depending on the product, that you will find articles in different locations, and there will be places where more relevant than others. So we will do one search, and that will look at different databases. So that is a good, I think it's really good, and that can save a lot of time. But overall, within the platform, as you will see the number of steps, you will automate very many steps of them, and then that will help you to save a lot of time and only review the most relevant articles. And we can also support, we also get the duplicated articles, because as we're looking at different databases, what the platform will do the deduplication automatically. And if you were to do the searches in different databases and putting the data all together, you would have to do the deduplication I don't know, using other methodologies to do that. So the first steps is, having your search, your database, and then the next stage is 3 to 4 is to conduct the review. And I think this part is the most not difficult one, but the one that requires you to have a very good understanding about your product and having a good understanding about clinical and research data that is published. So for you to understand what is the good quality or not so much good quality of an article, and help you out with making a decision which ones are the articles that you're going to choose to review. So evaluate and weigh your clinical data as grading systems. There are various methods used by appraising and weight clinical data. So you can also have a guidance on that and make sure that you follow that. And within our platform, we do the screening. The screening can be done mostly by artificial intelligence, which is a combination of machine learning models and NLP. And we have a number of filters and tags, and that can help you to prioritize the relevant articles for your summarization. And because the platform is developed that way, you can choose and pick which are the tags and the filters that you want to use. So if there are certain filters that you don't want to use, that you don't think is relevant, you don't need to use them, and you can use only what is relevant to you. So we are going to do a little video later showing you what it looks in real life. So the AI filters and tags, and they can be very helpful, not only for during the time that you're doing the initial screening, but also for QC, and to help you to kind of guide you to the right way, not the right way, but to the, if you're doing the process correctly. So it will support you on that as well. And there's a number of things that you can do to help. So for example, if you have a very large volume of articles, and most of the articles that you know that might not be relevant but came within your search and you want to exclude them, you might do a batch review where you can review a number of articles at the same time, and it will help you to screen and grade articles faster. You can review screen as well, that you can review the abstract or field text and submit to assessment, so you can make decisions on the go as you find one article that is important. That decision can be documented immediately, and then you can go into a workflow where you will find all the articles that have been selected for the assessment, for example, or what are the articles that you're looking, for example, you have an abstract and you're looking for full text. So all the decisions are documented, and there's a number of people that can work at the same time within the platform. And then there's also a reports module, and that will generate a report with all results, including exclusion and inclusion reasons, along with all the comments. So it's fully auditable, and you can present that as well. And then the next step would be to have supporting modules to help you to write your summaries as well. And the platform is fully there's an audit trail. It's a CFR 11 compliant, and GXP as well. So Naveen, I'm going to give you this part here, which is how you make what are the steps that you take, and how much of it can be automated by our AI. And Naveen will be talking about this. I don't know if I need how I can. Naveen can use my own screen, but
Can you hear me?
I can hear you not quietly.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So could you increase the zoom out the size of the screen?
The
Yeah. So we have run search in our tool called Biology MLM AI. So we have followed all the med regulatory guidelines pertaining to literature process. So we have taken one use case for bone plates for distal radius fractures. So we have used the PICO model to design the search strategy and then input into the tool, and then tool automatically ran the searches based on the dates, entry of the dates, and then from there it resulted 122 hits based on the PICO model search. And then from there we have some we've already configured some key terms in the tool. Based on that, the tool automatically filter out some non-relevant articles. If you can see in the down, the green color one, articles excluded by AI. So those are the animal studies and auto deduplicate. So this is the deduplication is the excellent feature in our tool, which could save 25% of the time screening time. And other non-relevant articles which doesn't fit into, or maybe it might mention PICO related terms, but might not be quite relevant to the as per the regulatory guidelines or as per the literature process requirements. uh, could you go up, Nicole?
Do you want this one?
Yeah. Then, after excluding 97 articles, we have 25 articles. The tool found 25 articles as relevant articles having clinical content. Then from there, we have used some tags for study types like, clinical studies and then meta-analysis, systematic reviews. So that tool, we have configured those all key terms in the AI tool, and then tool was able to, filter out all the studies based on those study types. So from that, we got around 24 studies, clinical studies, and then one meta-analysis. So from there, a little bit, manual work is required. So we need to grade the articles one by one. So we have one feature called batch review where it is kind of semi-automated. So batch review will display all the articles on the screen, and then from there we can grade the article based on the Harbour Miller grading system, or you can follow any grading system as per your client's requirements. So based on those grading system, we have graded grade A, grade B, or grade C. So these already Nicole has defined what are the grades and kind of thing. These grades fall into the non-biased studies or well-designed clinical studies or well-designed meta-analysis, systematic reviews kind of thing. So based on these gradings, so we have filtered out some articles, and these are all done on the batch review screen, which can help you to grade the articles a little faster rather than going one by one article. So you can just review all the titles and the abstracts on the same screen and apply the grading system on the screen itself. We have a workflow systems where you can configure the grading system as a pre-screening process, so that you can get all those grading systems while reviewing all the titles, abstracts, and then apply the grades over there itself. And then after grading these systems, so whatever the articles left out, you can still use the batch review, and at a time, at one go, you can just exclude those articles by applying the common reasons, whatever the reasons defined in your exclusion criteria. So after filtering out this relevant articles around, we got 4 articles finally, considering grade A and grade B. Then we have procured full text articles, maybe if it is available freely, and then if it is paid, then we can just purchase the articles and pull into the tool. And then we have an option, feature called attachments in the MLM AI tool. We can attach the full text article, and there itself we can read that full text article and write some summaries on the comment section, and then generate the report accordingly. So when it comes to the report contains all the details or all the activities that we have done for all at each stage, each step of the screening, like, what we have, what the tool has excluded the articles, the animal studies or other non-relevant articles or the whatever the stuff, and also include whatever the studies included or what are the grading system we have applied. Everything will be recorded in the report. Once you it's one click is enough. So just click on the download button, then the report will be exported and you will see all the information related to your search and selections. Yeah. So
Thank you, Naveen. And I think this is just another way of showing our other busy slide, just to show that we can screen like 40 plus million articles within our database. So there's a lot of articles we can screen from. And then how many, total hits that we're going to get, it depends on how we define our search strategy and about the product as well. If it's a product that has a busy content or not so much. And in this case, we had 122, and then automatically using artificial intelligence, 97 were excluded. So it's saving you time from going, from 122 to 25 articles that you need to review. And now that there's 25 articles that were reviewed, 4 articles had the relevant information for the report. So here is kind of a bit more clear on the step-by-step on what you need to do to find the articles and how we can help with our technology to speed things up in terms of having a much bigger reach of databases, but also ending up with a smaller number of articles to review. And here is just another schematic. And Naveen will, I don't know how it's going to work this way. Oops, wait, I will stop. Make it big. And oops, no. Can you see if should I make, it doesn't really make it bigger. So I start from the beginning, and Naveen, I let you narrate it, and if you want me to stop or go back, just tell me.
sure. Could you stop here? Yeah.
Can you see?
Yeah.
Is it too fast? So this is what our software looks like.
Could you stop here, Nicole?
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, this is what I was trying to explain, like, the keyword tag, it's already defined in AI tool, and if you just hit this keyword tag here, the AI tool is going to bring all the relevant articles at one step, and from there you can use the batch review. The next step will be, yeah, continue, Nicole.
Just stop here on the grading, so you can make your decisions straight as you review it, and all the decisions will be documented. And this is the batch review.
Could you stop there?
Okay. Oops, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, if you guys look at that duplicate tab, this is automatically, deduplicated, across all the 6 databases. The tool already identified the duplicates and pushed into the duplicate tab, so you don't have to do anything. You don't have to worry about duplicates detection. So the system does everything for the duplicate detection, but still the articles are available in the duplicates section. If you want, you can just QC those articles to make sure the system has detected the duplicates accurately. So everything will be there on the tool to QC for QC purpose. Yeah, continue, Nicole. Could you stop here, Nicole?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something secondary screen. Once you batch screen and grade the articles, you can come back and filter the articles from the review section and filter by the grading. Just if you wanted to review grade A articles first, then you can just filter the grade A article from the initial screening, and then the tool will pull all the grade A related articles, and then you can further assess the abstracts fully by going through the going through the text and see what information is available related to the particular device. And you can just you can just upgrade the grading or downgrade the grading, or maybe you can even make it non-relevant by selecting, by making the changes to the decision here on this screen. Yeah. Could you stop here, Nicole?
Sorry. Okay. I can go back a little bit.
Yeah. So the comment box over there, if you find something important information related to the device, you can just capture that information into the comments box, so that later when you finalize the article, you can just go through those comments and see, maybe further reviewer or medical reviewer can focus on these comments and make the decisions whether it is still relevant or not. And then they can go through the full text article accordingly and then write the summaries for CER reports. Yeah. Krishna here, Nicole? Yeah, here, if as I said, we have filter options here from the tool. Whatever articles you have selected for full text, or whatever you have finalized, and selected the decision, like what we have selected, some of the articles, full text article is required. Based on that, you can just filter those articles, and it will bring all those full text articles, and then further review can be done using the full text articles. So likewise, you can just filter the articles, whatever based on the workflow settings, or maybe the decision that you have applied during the screening. Yep. Yeah. These are the comments you can see. And this is reports, which I was explaining. This contains everything what you have done on the tool, including exclusions, inclusions, and the finalized articles. Yeah, you can filter those from the Excel. And then we have another feature, full text article, where if you found any full text article, you can still attach that article here for further review on the tool itself. Yeah, that's it, I think.
Yeah, I think that's it. And I think with this, we conclude our presentation, and we can open the floor for questions. We have on the call as well Bruno Hanna. He's the engineer, he's the CTO, and he can help with any specific AI and machine learning types of questions. And we can help with the questions related to the screening and more on the clinical side of things. Do we have any questions? We go to the...
Hey, Nicole, we received a couple of questions during the registration process the last couple of weeks, and one was about validation. I don't think it's something that we talked about today. So maybe if you could, so what we received is like 3 questions about like, is it validated and how it is validated, and what's the effort needed from the client or end user side in terms of validation.
I will let Bruno talk about that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the short answer is the tool is fully validated following GUMP best practices for computer systems validation. What that means for those who are not very familiar is we maintain and retest the entire application functionality across all workflows. And we maintain documentation that these tests have passed, and we retest things every time functionality changes. All this information is basically required for computer systems in the life sciences, whatever it is that they do. So we do all this work, and we share this with clients during audits or regulatory audits or whatever in whatever scenario they need to be discussed or presented.
Thank you, Bruno. The other question or set of questions that we received as well was regarding the sources and, you know, what type of database is included within the platform. And at several occasions, we got asked about Google Scholar. And yeah, maybe
Yes, so
we
the
could develop
database
on what's in there.
yeah, the database is an interesting concept, and it's something that we started building from the fact that there wasn't very many databases that incorporated the whole globe. So you have free databases, the likes of PubMed, for example, which is freely available, but PubMed does not cover all the countries around the globe, so it covers some of them. So we started building our own database, so biological database, where we ingest data from mainly databases available across the globe that are kind of paying attention to open source, open access sources. And we ingest all of this data, normalize the data, and then make the data available for the screening. So I think that's very important when you're doing your research, because I think for medical devices as well, and for families of medical devices, because you might have different similar products that are not approved in Europe but is approved in another country, and if you are searching globally, truly globally, you will be able to find additional events of additional information if you covering the whole globe. We cover within our database, we have PubMed plus all these other databases, and that does include most of the articles that you would find in proprietary databases, but without the cost of that. And if there's any, as I mentioned before, if there's any additional information that the company needs and we don't have it already indexed in our database, we can look for it and we can index it. We can pull the data to get it ingested into our database. And in terms of Google Scholar is not a database, it's a search engine. So the data that's available at the time will be there available to you. But if you are consistent in your searches and you want to repeat your search, a few times, it might not bring the same results. If you do it on this week and you do it in a month's time, you might not get the same result. Within our database, we can guarantee, as it is maintained by us, we can guarantee that the data will be available and you can consistently do your searches, and you will find the same results again and again. And additionally, if you add more dates to it. What was the other question? Did I answer?
Yeah, thank you, Nicole. Yeah, it was mostly about the sources and Google
Yeah.
Scholars. I think
And then
if we
it does look at data from all the languages, but the AI models, they are in English. But if we are retrieving articles in different languages, it will go to a separate tab. So similar to the duplicate tab, there's another tab that is presenting articles that are in other languages. So if you're pulling up articles in Spanish or whatever language it is, it will kind of it will put it to the side so you can look at it in terms of what you want to do with it. Do you want to use machine translation? Do you want to use your own internal process to be able to read those articles? Do we have any questions from the audience?
There is one just now actually. Is your software cloud-based or is it installed on site? And I think we can give this to Bruno.
Yeah, it's entirely cloud-based. All that's required for accessing the system is a web browser.